2014 Dodge Viper. Window bosses are bad. You can tell because the motor's power. You can hear the motors, but the window is not moving. The bosses are broken, need to be replaced. We're gonna use the Doug Shelby engineering pieces. These are the original window bosses, which get brittle and crack over time. The Doug Shelby kit, stainless steel and aluminum, that's what we're gonna replace it with.
Well, the first thing that we need to do is disconnect the negative charge on the battery. Reason why? We're gonna be working with electrical components today.
Items that are gonna be helpful as you're doing this are generic nylon interior trim removal tools. Those are about $5-6 on Amazon. Fasteners and clips, in case you break a few. These are 25 for $10 or so, again on Amazon. Generic Jeep, Dodge, Ram, etc. And then a few tools. We got needle nose pliers, a 10mm socket and ratchet, a screwdriver, not sure exactly what this bit is called, but it's a part of any generic toolkit, and a wrench as well. And then we've got some yoga mats. You can use towels, blankets, whatever, just to put the panels down. You don't scratch them when they come off the car. Move the door panel. You have two interior trim pieces that have to come off. You have behind the door release lever, that tan piece back there, and then this silver piece. These are a little tricky. This is where the interior trim removal tools come in handy. If you want to give it a shot, let's see.
So there's like this small area right here on the panel that's going to be easiest to wedge the tool into. So pushing through, not trying to push and pull, just push through. And then that'll give you the release on this.
There's a bolt back there. We'll undo that. Same story here on this piece.
I want to get your larger piece here, and again,
this one's a little scary. Requires more force than you probably expect. Pull up on it.
you did this one last time.
Want me to do it?
Yeah. What's the tip?
Don't be scared.
Yes, it feels super sketchy to pull on it. You're gonna think that you're gonna break it, but it's because of this on the bottom. So it's a really well secured piece, but definitely takes a little bit of gritting your teeth to pull this one out.
Now we're gonna pop the door panel off. There are a handful of clips, and 3 on this side and 2 on this side, which you'll have to force out. Once you force it out, it's still going to be connected with a bunch of wires and switches you'll have to disconnect. So that's where you want to support the door.
At this point, you'll begin to disconnect all of the cables, regardless of whether you are working on the driver or passenger door. In terms of order, you'll want to get the door handle latch last. The window controls can also be a little tricky, so use a trim tool if you need help shimmying it out. When removing the old bosses and mounting the new, you'll need to move the window supports in order to access where the new bosses will attach to the window. For the passenger door, you can use the driver's window controls, but for the driver's side, window controls will need to be reconnected to do this. Yes, it's this cable. Weather stripped piece, you will need to remove that weather stripping in order to actually get that cable disconnected. And then for the latch, it's a little bit of a brain teaser. You have an L-shaped figure with little T at the end. You'll have to figure out the puzzle in order to remove that. So pause if you want to see what that piece looks like. But from there, you're good to move on to the next step.
Okay, so what we're doing now is we're going to peel this vapor barrier back, and similarly this almost sticker is going to come back so you can access this hole. This stuff can stretch as you pull on it, in which case the trim tool is nice just to keep it sort of contained. We're going to take almost the whole way around You're gonna leave it attached at the bottom, so it'll be hanging from the door once it's off. And at this point, once you're sort of in here, you can also take note if you've damaged any of the clips. So on the other door, this one, for example, is broken, in which case you could pop it out, needle nose pliers in the back, squeeze it out, and replace it with one of your new clips. This bracket right here, there's one bolt that's visible here. What we're gonna need to do is we're gonna have to move this up because there's another bolt behind it. We'll move it up to where it's behind this hole, remove those two. Those are what hold the window bosses to the glass. And once those are out, you can pull the old bosses out, replace it with the new ones. Okay, so we've got the battery connected. We have the switch on for the window and ignition's on. Now we're gonna move this up. I have to hold this window to not damage it. We've got the window moved up. You now have access to both these 10mm bolts. They're a little tricky to get to, but these are gonna come out now with the old window bosses. And then the second one is where the socket comes in handy. Socket, wrench. Let's get this out. Once these loosen, they get a little trickier.
When doing this, make sure to recover all of the pieces of the original window boss. The bolt, the washer, the plastic piece, and the black piece. It could have been shoved somewhere in the door.
Have the old window bosses that failed removed. We're going to replace those with the Doug Shelby engineering kit. You separate it, so you've got this piece with the steel that's going to face towards you, and then on the opposite side you have a round aluminum piece with this, I don't know, rubber washer that's going to come in from the opposite side, and those are going to mate together. Before you do that, you're going to apply blue Loctite to these threads. This is a little tricky because you have to reach around behind the glass. This is where a partner with small hands comes in handy.
I've already seated the steel plate with the aluminum. That part is tricky. Once you're coming up here, it's counterintuitive the way it's gonna turn. I'm gonna go here with the hole. I wanna go ahead and seat that. And then come in with the other hand and go ahead and thread in.
And this thing spins counterclockwise.
You don't want it super tight. You want to just make sure it's flush with the aluminum. The bolt's connected here. These two will tighten together.
So what we're going to do now is shift the window such that the bosses align with the mounting holes. You've got, again, the one down here and the one up here. We're going to take the previous bolts, the old bolts, and just try to get those mated in to the new bosses. First bolt mounted to the upper window boss in there. Now we're going to do the second one. This is already aligned because the first one's holding it in place. So we'll get these guys tightened, and after that it's really just a matter of reassembling the door. Bolts in now to hold the new window bosses in place. I'm just going to replace this little sticker here and then reseat the vapor barrier before we plug everything back in and reattach the door panel. Now we're going to reassemble this door, put the door panel back on, which is really just a question of doing everything in reverse, plugging all these electronics back in. I'm going to start that tricky green. Put the light on. Are they aligned? I think I got two right there.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's test the window.
You want to test it?
Yeah, I want to make sure.
Switch.
Woo!
Yeah, so you're gonna want to hold this. It's fine. Hold this door latch out of the way to avoid scratching. Basically align the little clips, and then you're gonna push on this thing pretty hard. That's it, we're done.